This show is sponsored by my new business, MA Capital. I had success in my previous business acquiring companies before I exited earlier in the year. MA Capital is set up to support business owners on that journey, whether they want to sell now or they want to set up for a profitable exit later in the future. If this has piqued your interest and you'd like to work with me, head over to macapital.co.uk. So welcome back to the Fast Pound Slow Pound podcast. Today we've got on Stuart from Coupland Leather. Coupland Leather. Yes, Stuart has got a bespoke leather company. Guys, just a quick one. Over 75% of our listeners aren't subscribed. So if you are enjoying this, please show some support by liking, commenting or subscribing wherever you're watching the podcast. It'll allow us to keep getting on amazing guests and it's massively appreciated. Back to the show. So yeah, welcome to the podcast, Stuart.
Thank you very much.
If you'd like to just, introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers.
Basically just said it all there. My name is Stuart Coupland. I own Coupland Leather. I'm a luxury leathersmith. So my day-to-day is effectively designing and creating bespoke one-off pieces for my clients.
How do you even get into doing that?
YouTube. I've had an interesting background. Very much, and I've said this on other podcasts in the past, I'm very much if someone says, do you want to try this? And as long as it's legal, I'll give it a go. I'm just a bit of a yes man in a way. So, I started off working in sales, in IT sales. And then someone came along to me and said, started in IT sales and I started doing kickboxing of all things. Now I'm soft as can be, but I started doing kickboxing. And then I was at a networking event and the producer for a TV show called The Big Town Dance, Ashley Banjo's Big Town Dance came. Yeah, and he said, we're looking for a kickboxing instructor to be on the TV show. And I went, go on then. So I ended up doing 4 months or 3 months with the diversity dance group for Sky One, which was fun. Still working in IT, and then someone came along and said, I'm a retained fireman, you should try that. And I went, all right, and I'll try that. So I was a retained firefighter for 3 years because someone said I should try it.
Yeah.
I left IT, went to marketing. I did that as a sales manager for a couple of years. And I went on holiday and I bought a watch strap and I looked at it and went, I can make one of these. And it was a bit of a yes man moment again. And I ended up teaching myself how to do leathercraft. And it's been very much a little bit of an idea or an opportunity comes along. And if it isn't going to hurt anyone, I can give it a go. I usually do.
Yeah.
But with the leather side, like I say, I went on holiday with my missus back in 2018.
Okay.
And we're in Turkey, and I found, I might have found the only shop in Turkey that sells a genuine watch. But he was selling his own handmade watch straps, and I had a Samsung smartwatch at the time. And I said, could you make me a strap that fits this? And he had one there, and it was really nice, but he said, I have to trim it down, I have to change this. And I went, well, I like that buckle. He went, I'll put that buckle on it for you. And he did this little service thing, and I walked away with a strap that wasn't necessarily made for me, but it was adapted for me. Yeah. And I was sat by the pool as a salesman going, that was a cool experience. I enjoyed that. Yeah. And I said to the missus, I was looking at this watch, I was like, I can make one of these. I look at it, I'm wearing a rubber strap. Yeah. Like, it's bad, innit? But I said to the missus, I can make one of these. So I went home and I YouTubed it, I read the forums, I did the how-tos, I created lists of what tools do I need, and I compiled that, and I put together what I would class as like my basic startup pack. The basic startup pack consists of 25% useful tools and 75% of crap that came in packs that I've never touched still to the day. And I started making leather goods. First wallet I made was complete trash. The second wallet I made was complete trash. I made a bookmark, which hopefully has been chucked in the bin at some point by now. I was terrible at first. And then trial error. Christmas came about, made some more bits. Birthdays came about, made some more bits. And eventually, I started getting half decent. Yeah. And a friend of mine from networking, obviously at this point, I've been in B2B sales. I started when I was 18. I'm probably about 20... I don't know how old am I at that point. I don't know, 6 years ago, 26 at this point. So I've been in B2B sales for 8 years. So I had quite a strong business network behind us, and one of them said to us, "Could you make me an Apple Watch strap?" I was like, "Yeah, go on then." So I made him this watch strap, and he paid me, I think, 30 quid for this watch strap that I made. I think it cost me about 40 quid of materials to buy in, and it was very much a someone's given me money for something I've made rather than I've made money on something I've sold. Okay. Do you understand that the difference in that?
Let me get my head around that. Yeah.
So if you sell something for a profit, it's great, right? And that's what everybody wants to do. But the first point was they'd given me money.
Yeah.
For some, I didn't make any money on it, but someone had physically given me cash for something I'd made.
So it's like the exchange is click something.
It was a little bit of a sort of moment, like a light bulb moment, yeah, the ping moment, as I've heard people call it. But this little thing went off, and I was like, "Ooh, this is interesting." So I went home and I made an Instagram. I made a Facebook page and all these little things, and I started posting stuff and just I wasn't trying to necessarily sell anything at this point. What I was trying to do was get historic credibility. So if someone Googled Coupland Leather, they'd find an Instagram page with 6 months worth of posts, and they could look at stuff. So by the time I came to want to be self-employed, I came to want to actually run it as a company, there was historic stuff on the internet to find me, rather than just deciding I want to go self-employed and starting at that point. I was building a false foundation in a way, if that makes sense. But what happened off the back of that was people who knew me were going, recommended Coupland Leather, what's this? Clicking on that, what the hell's all this about? Messing me, Stu, you making wallets? And I go, oh yeah, do you want one? And it just started to very slowly snowball. Could you do this? Could you do that? Could you do this? And one of the biggest benefits of what I do, because it's all bespoke, nothing stock, I don't hold like 10 things in stock, I don't pre-make anything. They'll go, could you make this? I'm going, don't know, but I can try. And I just started looking at ways to design something, looking at how it goes together. And I've always had one of those sort of minds where I can look at something and go, well, that's built like this, and that breaks apart, never needed instructions for a flat pack. But I just started designing things, building things. So the vast majority of what Coupland Leather has for sale, I've designed it. Now, don't get me wrong, there's one or two designs on there where you'll be able to go, oh, I'm sure I've seen that for sale somewhere. But what I'll do, if you set me a show, I want a bag, right, I'll go, okay, what do you want it to do? And if I find a template out there, I ain't remaking the wheel twice. I'll find the template, but then I'll go, right, what different do you want? I want a pocket here, I want a lining, I want this, I want that, I want a bigger strap, better handles. And then I'll adapt a design to suit my client rather than building the whole thing from scratch. Yeah. One, it makes the whole process a lot faster because, designing a bag from scratch takes weeks. Yeah. And we just shave that time and labour off. Yeah. But it just means that we can progress faster.
Were you unhappy in your job, or were you looking for a way out?
I have been unhappy in jobs. It's one of those. Sometimes you get a bad manager. Sometimes you get a bad owner. Sometimes you just don't see eye to eye with a good owner. You know what I mean? Like, there's always something which niggles you, and I think every employee in the world can turn around and say something bad about a boss at some point because they're a boss and they don't want to be told what to do. Like, that's just generic. And I'm not a good employee. Like, I've always known this.
I wasn't one either.
No, and. Oh, if any of my old employees watch this, they'll probably laugh and go, "No, he was a really bad employee. He had too many opinions." And I've never been that afraid to share my opinion either. Yeah. There's been many times where my missus has seen a conversation between my boss and gone, "How are you not sacked?" And the only answer, saving grace, is I'm a really good salesman. Yeah. If I didn't make him the money I made him, I'd have been out that door faster than you could even say. But. I'd say the last company I worked for, I actually worked for a friend, really nice, genuine guy. They went to liquidation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the actual story of Coupland Leather's birth was 2018 I went on holiday. 2019, beginning of 2019, I sold that watch strap. I worked it as a hobby for a year, growing bits and bobs. And then the 21st of January, 2020, so I'd been working as a hobbyist for a year. Got called in for a meeting with my boss, a lad called Matt. and he said, Stu, really sorry. We're going to have to close the business down this reason or another.
Did you see it coming?
I felt something was coming when I got a message.
Yeah.
So I'm a proper chatterbox, if you haven't realised by now. So I'm not very good in an office environment because I just talk and I distract everybody. So I was very much a work from home, and I come in the office once or twice a week just for the odd meeting or catch up or whatever. And he called us. He said, "We need a meeting tomorrow," and it wasn't on the books. And I was a bit like, "Ooh, that's different. Am I in trouble?" And I knew I wasn't because I made him a fortune that week. So I thought.
What were you selling then? Marketing services?
Marketing services, yes. So it was anything from Google Ads, websites, that sort of stuff. Which, again, great foundation for running your own business. But when he literally said, "Look, we're closing the business down. We've been able to pay you. So we've paid you this month," which he said was something you shouldn't have done, or the liquidator said not to. For whatever reason, I don't know, a liquidator company. Luckily, I've never had to do that.
Yeah.
But, we paid you, but effectively, you paid at the end of the month, it's 21st, go do what you need to do. I do know a couple of people are after salesmen. So here's some names. We've mentioned that you're obviously going to be unemployed soon. They're prepared to have an interview with you, go and take a job or do what you need to do. Here's a bit of help. Let's say he was a good guy, genuine guy. So I, at the time, Rockcliffe Hall?
Yeah. So
Rockcliffe Hall were a reseller of mine at the time.
Okay.
So I drove to Rockcliffe straight after because they were based in Darlington as well. So I drove to Rockcliffe and I said, "Look, I'm taking Company Leather full time." "Oh, really? Yeah, when did you start that?" I said, "About an hour ago."
What made you drive there though?
It was about 12:30 when he told us and let us basically say, "On your pop." And I just went, "I'm just going to go and speak to my closest reseller." Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? What's the point in going all the way home and sitting there and shaking your head going, "Oh, what am I going to do?" I went, "I'm going to go and speak to the only income I've got left coming in, which is one of my suppliers, and I'm going to go
try and sell more."
Well, basically, it wasn't necessarily trying to sell more. It was explain the situation, know. And there's one thing that I've got to say about the Teesside business community is a lot of times they've got each other's back, and I'll come at this in a second because of the next thing I did. But I went to Rockcliffe and said, "Look, I'm taking the business full time. If you know anybody who wants any," because I had a little cabinet, "any of this stuff, please push them my way, put a little bit of extra effort in," sort of thing. But I went home and I started looking into, obviously, the companies that they'd referred me to. I made a few phone calls myself. I think by the end of that day, I had about four potential job offers. So I could have taken a job. And I was sat there and I was looking at, because I had a little makeshift workshop in the back of my house. I was looking at this workshop I had, and I was like, well, I've got some stock on the wall. I've got tools that I can start making products. I've got the bare essentials that I need to have a craft company. I just need the bollocks to do it.
Yeah.
And it was
Fair play.
I had about 4 or 5 grand in credit card debt. Do you know what I mean?
As you do.
Yeah. I had 1 month's salary, which was just paid that day, about 1,500 quid or whatever it was at the time. And I was like, I've got 2 options. I either try and make this work or I don't. So the missus came home 5:30 and I said, "So, don't have a job anymore. Interestingly, I have got some prospects, so don't worry." But I said, "Look, it's the 21st of January. Obviously, there's 31 days in this month. So there's 10 days to end the month. These are the 4 people I said to them. I said, give me till the 1st of Feb to figure out what I want to do and which job I want to take, and I want to look around." They're like, "That's fine." I said, "Give me 10 days of Cooper Leather and see what I can do."
10 days, wow.
10 days.
Took me 9 months to get my first customer.
1,600 quid in 10 days I did. Right? Now, what I did, and to be fair, obviously I'm a salesman.
Yeah.
And cold calling, door knocking, that's my game. I used to love it. I used to thrive off it. But I picked my phone up and I just rang all my mates who own companies. And, and it's a bit of a cheat, but I just went, "Look, do you want a wallet? Do you want a belt? Do you want a folder? Do you want this? Do you want that? This is the situation. What can you what do you want to buy? And one of my clients, a good friend of mine, went, I'll have 6 folders off you. Oh, if you're going to buy 6, I'll do it for this. Went, no. 189 quid each, 159 quid each, sorry, at the time. I want 6 folders off you. And I swear, that was the order that went, oh.
Yeah.
And again, it's the same as that watch strap. Someone is prepared to lay down real money for something I'm going to make. And there's a lot of times where you turn at your mates, and I had this a lot through the beginning of Cooking Leather. Oh, I'm going to start making wallets. All right, how much are you going to sell them for? 80 quid, 90 quid. Who's going to buy a wallet off you for 90 quid?
Yeah.
I'm going, well, I don't know, people.
Yeah.
Says, you can buy Hugo Boss one 50 quid.
Yeah.
I said, I have a next one for 20.
Yeah.
I'm going, oh, well, my wallets are 200 quid now, by the way. You know, and I sell them on a weekly basis, like all the time. I've sent 3 out, like this week. Yeah, sent 2 out yesterday and 1 this morning. So, like, you know, the sell, but it's a belief thing. You know, the only mindset thing what we were speaking about earlier, the only person that or 2 people that turned around me and said, that'll work, was Meg, my missus, and a mum. Everybody else said, there's no way you're going to sell wallets for that much money.
Then people would have not have had a clue. They just would have probably been doing it to try and protect
those
you.
People, well, exactly. And I don't hold any. We've had this conversation many times with them since. Like, you know, my mum, my dad, my brothers, everyone. They've all gone, well, I don't buy that. Then I'm not your client. You know, exactly, I have a wallet from Next. It's 20 quid or whatever. Yeah. You know, I got one that was free on a cruise ship that was given to me. You know what I mean? That's what I use. So it's very much. It was very much. If Meg hadn't believed at that point, but like I said to you before, I've worked in B2B sales for a lot of years. You know, I've walked in and sold 20, 30, 40,000 pound service systems to big companies. You know, money's out there. And I remember going to some networking dues. And again, I've said this on other podcasts where, you know, the energy guy was turning up in a Bentley and you're going, oh, that's a Bentley? I said, how can he afford a Bentley? You know, why drive a Bentley? Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you not in a Peugeot or... And he's going, well, because it's nicer, it's got this, it's got that, it's got luxuries, this, that, and the other. Because he can. You know, the solicitor had a Mont Blanc pen. Well, why aren't you using a Bic? Well, because it writes nicer, this, that, and the other. And I'm going, well, Hugo Boss wallet's mass-produced in the middle of God knows where. Yeah. You know, it's crap leather. I'm using good quality stuff, handmade. They choose there's a difference.
The story behind yours, isn't it?
Exactly. And, you know, it's the only one.
Yeah.
And I think when you're exposed to that world where you realise who your clientele are, then all of a sudden you know how to appeal to them. And you'll realise they will pay more for high quality. Like, I buy now on value over cost. So I'll look at something and I'll go, all right, I've started playing tennis. Right, I ain't very good, but I started playing tennis. And I don't wear joggers very much. I'm not a joggers guy. But obviously I can't turn up to play tennis in jeans. Yeah. You know. So I went out and I went to Sports Direct or whatever it was, and I looked at the joggers, and like 50 or 60 quid for a pair of Nike joggers. I'm not paying that. To wear once a week for an hour on a Saturday morning, I'm not paying 60 quid for a pair of joggers. It's got no value to me. So I went to Primark and I spent 16 quid on a pair of joggers. They'll do me fine. You know what I mean? Because it's got value to what I'm going to use it to. Yeah. You know, if I was buying on cost and quality and all the rest of it, I'd probably just go for the joggers that cost more. But if it's something that you typically value, that's what I'll pay my money on. Yeah. So I'll pay for something less if it means that's what I'm going to use. But when you're looking at a belt or a wallet, which you're going to wear every day, you're going to use every day, my wallets last your lifetime. Do you know what I mean? That's how they're built. It's quality leather. It's high quality. The threads are off ratchet straps. So you know the thread on ratchet straps?
No, I can't picture it.
Do you know what a ratchet strap is, right? Where you use and you cock it and it ties like...
I have to Google it.
Right. What's the... You know when you get like a recovery van?
Right.
And they strap your car down. They've got that clicking...
Oh, right,
thing
yeah.
That's a ratchet strap, right?
Yeah.
Very strong piece. I found out what thread they use, and I use that on my wallets to make sure it didn't break. You know, so it's practically tied together with a rope. But I wanted to make sure that whatever I put into my product was going to make sure that it lasts forever, because my business ethos or mission statement or whatever it is that you call on the website, it's we believe in high quality products that last. And it's very hard to promise that when you've been in business for less than a year, because how do I know my products are going to last? Do you know what I mean? So you kind of... making that up a bit. But I did my research. I looked into the different types of leather. I made sure I bought the best quality ones. I made sure I bought leather which patinaed and aged and got better, and it didn't crack or peel. It formed. I looked at the threads, I looked at the edging, I looked at every aspect I could of my product and went, how can I make that little bit last longer? And that's what I put into the final piece. So,
what do you like better, doing sales or being hands-on crafting the products?
That's a very good question. I'm not much. I come across as a people person. I'm not much of a people person. I'm very much if nobody comes to the house for the day, it's like the best day ever.
So I'm in my shed doing my product,
basically. Yeah. But equally, I like the hunt of a sale. You said the thing, if you do 100 cold calls and you get 99 no's, chances are the next one's going to be a yes. You've heard all that sort of stuff in the past. I used to thrive off a no because you like getting hungry for that yes. And you were sat there like itching, I'm going to get a yes, I'm going to get a yes.
Where does that come from? Because that's not normal, is it?
I don't know. I think it's my ADHD. Or it's something like that. Just driven. I don't know.
You think you were destined to have your own business?
Yeah. I wasn't a good employee.
Did you have visions of what it would be?
Absolutely not. I mean, I tried to be a professional salesman, sales manager, firefighter, martial arts instructor. I make handbags. I drive a massive truck, big beard, try and make myself look as manly as I can. I make handbags and I make key rings and purses. And do you know what I mean? Like, I never knew I was going to be doing luxury leather goods. But I thoroughly enjoy what I do. I very much enjoy the finished piece over the beginning.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes you'll get, for example, I've got some handbags to make at the minute, and each handbag's about 25 to 40 hours depending on the design. And that's full on, stopwatch 25 hours. It's not like, it's 4 days. No, it can be done in like 2 or 3 if you work non-stop, sort of thing.
To make one product?
Yeah, I mean 25 to 40 hours to make one product.
Wow.
So thousands of pounds each. Do you know what I mean? So, but there's a reason that much. Now, I always give 6 to 8 months turnaround on my bags.
Really?
Yeah. But that's because I'm not charging 10 grand for them. If somebody said, I need a handbag and I need it in 3 weeks' time, I'd have to shut the workshop down for a week and a half just to make that one product. And at which point it's going to cost a lot more money. So instead what I do is I'll go, right, okay, yeah, you can have it. It'll be June. But what I'm going to do is I'll cut the leather. I'll odd leather in all the parts I need. I'll cut all the parts out on one day. And then I'll get on with my small stuff. And then I'll punch all the holes one day. And then I'll get on with my small stuff. And then What's
your small stuff? Like
wallets, key rings, belts, your everyday stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, I sent what did I send out yesterday? A cartridge bag. It was a shotgun cartridge bag. Yes, beautiful bags, by the way, obviously. Little plug.
I suppose you should have brought some products.
I know, yeah, a little shot. Yeah. What was it? Is it QVC, the shopping channel?
Yeah.
So, hey.
Go live, do live stream, sell them now.
But yeah, so I sold this shotgun cartridge bag end of November. I sent it out yesterday. So what's that, 2 months-ish, give or take.
I suppose it's nice to have them orders in the bag, isn't it? So you can forward see your cash flow and your sales and stuff.
Everything's paid up front.
Nice.
It's literally paid up front, so we just take the money up front, and then because as soon as if I get a quiet week, I'll make it and send out the door, and I don't have to then invoice and go pay your final bill. So you know what I mean. I'm just getting on with it. But since selling that bag in end of November, I've taken 200 orders on the website.
Wow.
So I can't have 200 orders on a backlog building up because someone's waiting for a keyring that takes me an hour to make.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's like
200 orders, that's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, the website does well, to be fair.
Where's that traffic coming from as well? People searching for hand
goods? I worked in marketing for a little while and I learned quite a bit on the back end, and then there's a lot of information online you can research and look into. I'm on Shopify as the platform. Benefit of being Shopify and being such a big platform is every how-to in the world is online, because every man and his dog's trying to be an influencer and tell people how to do stuff, so they're just spitting content out. So you can sit there watching it all. My secret weapon is my missus. She's the global marketing manager for a big international corporation, as well as a professional photographer. So
That's ideal for this business. Then, isn't
this
it?
is what I mean. So everyone looks at it and goes, Stu Coopman's done really well. He's done all this stuff. And Stu Coopman's missus has worked really hard. And she's taken all the... Like, we we're in the studio last night, the Fort studio. And it must have been 8:30 we were doing it last night. But we'd cut out a heart in a card and we'd stuck it up. She was shooting for this heart with all these roses and all the products, for Valentine's shoot.
Yeah.
But we're at 10 o'clock last night, or 8, 9 o'clock, whatever the hell it was last night. And she was started till 11 o'clock editing them, sent them all across, got an email campaign ready to go out at 7 p.m. tonight.
Nice.
And she'd done all that. All I did was hand cut a heart out the middle of a card. Yeah. Sorry. So, she is definitely the secret weapon. She's the marketing expert behind Coopman Leather. I make nice products, and don't get me wrong, we ain't selling nothing unless the products are nice, because as soon as people get them, they're going to stop. So we work well together. We're definitely a bit of a power team.
Is she officially in the business, or is she just helping you out?
She just helps me out. Yeah. We call it money in the house, and you see it a lot of the times where couples, they're not as supportive of each other, and they don't really gel well, and she might want to start her own business, or he might want to start his own business, and they don't see eye to eye, and they're not really that supportive. It's a very hard dynamic to get around. I'm very lucky to have a partner who's very supportive of what I do, and who'll get hands-on and help me, and she loves it as much as I do.
Yeah.
She enjoys doing the Coopman Leather shoot. She enjoys looking at the products. Like, she's my quality control.
Yeah.
So if I make a product, and you'll get this with all craftspeople, like, I'll do something, I'll stitch something, I'll make something, I'll look at it, I'll go, that's a millimetre lower than that bit is. And I can see it because I'm making these things day in, day out, and I've grown to have a very small, attention to detail, or large, I don't know which way, but I can spot very small mistakes. So I'm looking, going, oh, do I have to remake that? So what I'll do is I'll hand it to Meg and go, hey, what do you think of that? And if she goes, oh, it's beautiful, it's really nice, and she looks at it, she doesn't spot it, no one else will.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So she does a lot of that as well, and she really enjoys the company and the business, and we call it money in the house. So if Coopman Leather's doing well, the house is doing well. If the house is doing well, we can do more, so we can go on more holidays, we can buy nicer things, we can do more.
Yep.
So it's very much I only take what I need from Coopman Leather. I'm probably less than minimum wage. You know what I mean? I just take what I need, and everything else stays in the business, and that's the business's money. And, if we need stuff, we can take it out in dividends or whatever. But, it's very much a money in the house situation. We support each other and look after each other. And
what's your best selling product?
it varies on season. So we've got one of my top selling products I do really well with is it's vehicle tracking holders. So it's not just one particular one, but it's like a range. So when someone gets a supercar, some of them, especially the older ones, had a plastic fob with them. There's two main styles: a flat one with an arch top, and like the Porsche one, which is like an elongated diamond-looking thing. So I designed two different tracker holders for them, and then a series of other ones for third-party tracker holders. And they sell really well. But then obviously I've got my wallets, they sell well. I had one belt I used to sell for years. It was a hand-dyed belt. We cut it to tailor fit sort of thing. That's all. I've now brought out two other styles, so the pre-dyed. A bridal belt for men, and what we call the CL signature belts for ladies. And we've made a really nice buckle ladder, all custom made, and all stunning belts, to be fair. They sell really well. During the summer, I have straw bags for ladies. Right. So I'll buy the baskets in, and I'll make all the leather attachments and stuff. Again, during the summer, we'll sell a couple hundred of them. Sunglasses, cases. You know what I mean? There's loads of different things, but it's seasonal.
Yeah.
I think the benefit now of having a business for 5 years is you get to watch the patterns. At first, there's no pattern. It's just scattergun, just send everything out into the ether and see what comes back. Yeah. When now we can start to tailor things a bit, we can watch the patterns. Like you couldn't even do that. I'd say last year was the first time I really got to watch a pattern, because your first year, it's false. Yeah. People are supporting you who usually wouldn't. People are jumping on the bandwagon because it's exciting new business who usually wouldn't. The second year, we had a lot of growth. in the first year. So I grew like 700% in the first year through the first lockdown, which was insane. But that got me on the news, and I was doing podcasts with GoDaddy and
insane,
I was on a podcast. Is it Beth Tweddle, the Olympian?
The name rings a bell. Is she a footballer?
I can't remember. But I think she's a gold medal Olympian of some, I think, gymnast.
Right.
But it was me and Beth on this podcast thing with GoDaddy.
How did that come about?
So you got the North East Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
Or the British Chamber of Commerce got in touch and said, would you do this?
Nice.
And I went, yeah, of course I would. So, but point being is, in that second year of business, I had a lot of visibility.
Yeah.
Which resulted in a lot of sales. In the third year of business, I didn't have that visibility. So you couldn't watch the pattern from year 1 or year 2, because year 1 was like people supporting you. Year 2 was all this visibility. So year 3, we had to like start from scratch in a way, and how were you going to get through this year? And then we kind of got through that. And then year 4 came around, and you're going, actually, if you look at all the numbers and all the different patterns, you can see something starting to gather here. So now in the 5th year, is it 5th year or am I? Yeah, now in the 5th year, I'm looking at going, right, okay, I've got this, and this I can play with. So let's have a look at this. Let's do that. Let's do this. We'll bring this in. We'll launch another one of these. And it's starting to look. And, there's parts of the website which are quieter. Like, I'm giving my secrets away now. But one of the big things that we're doing between me and Meg at the minute is I'm going through the website, looking at products with a more generic name, and I'm searching those on Google. And I'm seeing how they do on the rankings. So I'll give you one, pilot license holder. There's only some quite plasticky looking fake leather holders out in the world. But I made one for a pilot. We got in touch, said, could you make this? I went, yes, I can. I made it. And I took a picture quickly on a side dresser in the house and stuck it on the website just as a product. That's now 1st or 2nd on Google.
Yeah.
Right? So it's doing really well. But the product images aren't the best. It's the surroundings of them aren't the best. You know what I mean? Like the actual lifestyle shots aren't great.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, if I made a few more extra products in different colours, if I got a mate who's got a private plane, I say, can I take some pictures in your private plane? And I got pilot's cap, and you know what I mean? Like we created some better images, and we piled them into Pinterest, and we piled them on the website, and we piled them into different places, and we expanded on a product which is already doing well on Google. Surely it's going to start selling better. And that's how you start growing a specific thing, existing thing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's very the best thing you can do in business is find a gap in the market and fill it. Obviously, finding a gap in the market is really difficult. So instead of sitting there going, what products can I create from scratch to fill a gap that I don't know exists?
Find the demand first.
I've got a load of products out there. So instead we're optimizing. It's just optimizing the website. We're looking and going, right, that wallet has photos from 2020 and I've never updated them. I had a guy message me about a wallet the other day. Luckily he bought it, but he said, I'm interested in this wallet, but have you got any other photos? And the photos, there was one wallet, it's in black, it's on the website, it's on black sand, because that's what we used when we very first started Cooten Leather, was black sand, and we stood everything in it, wet the sand and stuff. Weird. But I had a look, I didn't have those images anymore. I couldn't find any images of that wallet anywhere, and I've got thousands of photos of Cooten Leather stuff.
Take a selfie like this?
I just went back and I went, sorry. So here's the web link with some images. I don't have any others. I don't have any, unless I download them off the website. I said, here's some of the different colour options and snippets and just cut-offs. I said, these are the colours you can have, which one you're interested in. And he went, oh, not blue, one of the browns. And I said, which one do you prefer? Here's some other photos of other wallets in brown. I like that colour. Right, we'll do that then. You know, and I'll make that and I'll get some pictures of it and I'll stick it on the website. But I'm most likely going to make 5 or 6 different versions of that wallet. And I'll get Meg to do a lot of photos and we'll stick them on the website.
When did the web inquiry start taking off? Because that's exciting. Like going from, I remember like, you know, like when you first start your business and like you say, you know, it's your family, your friends and people who you know are supporting you.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you start getting inquiries through the website of people you don't know who want to give you money and you're like, wow, shit, this is good.
Weirdly, the first order I took which I had to post, there was a guy further down south who wanted It was off Instagram, off a picture you see on Instagram. I made a 20. Do you know much about guns?
No.
Right. Weird
Go
question.
bang.
Yeah. So there's a bullet called a 22 long rifle, a 22 LR. Tiny little pest control bullet. And a friend of mine's shoot, and he said, could you make a little holster thing where you pull a little cord and the bullets come out and you can tip them out and all that little thing. And I posted that on Instagram and some guy bought one. And it was exciting, it was fun. And I was playing golf, right? And I'm crap at golf as well. I'm not really good at sports. But I was playing golf and I was literally messaging this guy. I was obviously working for the marketing company at the time, and I was messaging this guy, and they're like, 1 second. I'm like, sat there trying, I'm going to make a sale. And he PayPal'd me the money, and it was brilliant. The website itself, when I got on Shopify, started getting all the business through the website, and it was slow at first, you know. Probably get 80 to 100 orders a month now just through the website. I'd say on average, I'd get around 3,000 visitors a month on the site organically without paying for anything, which is pretty decent, to be fair. I'd say the most exciting one was when I got my first international sale.
Yeah.
Because that was pretty exciting. I'm on 26 countries now.
Yeah.
So we've sold products all over, and like something like 18 states in the US. So it's one of those, I get one now, it's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But it's not as like...
Yeah, you don't get that initial feeling.
But first ones, but it's when you get a new country, that's quite exciting.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the first order I got for Texas. Oh, like, my head blew up.
Go hand deliver it for...
Well, it wasn't even
write
that.
it all off for expenses.
You've got two main homes for leather in the world, Texas and Italy. Texas is a home of leather because it's all guns and gun slips and rifle slings and all that sort of stuff. And they bought a shotgun slip from me. And I'm like, someone in Texas has bought a shotgun slip from me in the UK, which they could have just popped to any street corner and bought a gun slip because it's Texas. Do you know? So my head massively blew up for that. The other one was when I got one for Italy. That was pretty insane. Because again, the same sort of thing. It's like the home of leather. Like, there's leather shops everywhere, and then someone's coming to me for one of my stuff. So you start going to my head, so I must be doing something right.
Yeah.
I remember that second year of business, I went in I think it was 20 magazines after that. So I got in some newspapers, then the BBC picked it up, and they asked me to go on BBC Look North, and then I did that bit. And then off the back of that, all these magazines started wanting to feature me, so I was in Lux and all sorts of other ones. But this company got in touch. It's Italian, so I can't remember the name. It begins with an L. Basically, Leather Magazine in Italy wrote about me in Italian, and I had to get a friend of mine to translate it for me, saying that I was one to watch.
Wow.
And I was like, that's insane.
That is insane.
Like, a leather company in Italy, the home of leather, is writing about me. like my head was like, obviously, I'm on cloud 9 at this point. So there's been some really cool little changes and moments. I've had the pleasure to work with a handful of celebrities, which is quite cool to do because, you know, you rewatch them in something, you're like, I know that. Yeah. I've worked with him. Yeah. He wears my belt. You know, you get these little things. It means nothing in the grand scheme of things. They're just another customer. But it's just these cool little moments where you're like, I got to do that.
Where do you want to take the business next 3 to 5 years?
You know, I don't know. And I would, if you had asked me that 5 years ago, I wouldn't have said I'd be where I am now. So for me to go, this is where I want to be in 5 years, don't know. I could hit it, I could surpass it, I might not reach it. Honestly, I've never once pushed Coop Leather. A lot of entrepreneurs are very much, I want to make this much, I want to do this, I want to achieve this. They have all these massive goals, all these massive dreams and things that they want to accomplish. I'm very much let's do this really, really well, which means that this might go really, really well. And if that goes well, then his mates might want some, and that'll go really well. And all of a sudden, and it's like the slow-paced growth. The benefit of doing a slow-paced growth as a craftsman who makes everything is you can grow with the demand. So I've got a customer at the minute who wants it's a furniture company, and you know, like leather door pulls. So last year we made 500 leather door pulls. This year they won 1,000. right?
That's what I'm thinking. The demand's crazy because it could literally go into like thousands and thousands of markets, can't it?
Yeah. It's just craft. But, and this is one thing, I'm a craftsman. Like, I'm no different to your grandma making like a woolen scarf in the back room. Do you know what I mean? I'm just making products and selling them online. But this company wants $1,000. Now, I know if he got in touch with me my first year of business, I'd have turned him away. But because of the way I've evolved the business and set myself up now, I can go, yeah, that's fine.
Do you have anyone helping you out? Like
No.
Would you ever do that?
I don't know. And I say I don't know because obviously minimum wage rises are going up. So that's scary. The rights for employees and all that, that's going up. That's scary. There's all these things that are changing within the employment market, which scare the living crap out of me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I have the bollocks or the understanding to take that risk yet, is the honest answer.
Yeah.
I would love to have someone who helps me out,
Yeah.
but they kind of scare me.
Can the business afford it?
Technically, yeah.
More just a mindset from your side.
Yeah. There's other things, there's other areas that I have to consider. There's insurance, there's tooling, there's taxes, there's venue. I obviously I've registered the business at home and I work from home. Do I really want some random person come to my house every day? They have to walk through the house to get in the workshop. So it's like, do you want that, or will they have to get a unit?
It's an important
Business rates, energy rates, and all the other things that go along with that. There's that side of it. So now we're paying for a staff member, the insurance, the tax, the venue, the rates, the electricity, the water, everything that goes involved. One person creates all this. Now, I was speaking to a business owner, a very clever lady, about this a year or so ago now. And she said, doubling is always the hardest. I said, what do you mean? She said, we're going from 1 to 2, really hard. 3's easy, but 2 to 4's really hard. 5, 6, and 7 are easy, but 4 to 8's really hard. And she's got like 50 staff now. You know, she said, anytime you double the numbers is the hardest part. Working between that, that's just adding something else. But as soon as you start doubling, that's when you start to figure out, like, so if you're going to hire someone, you start with the 1. It's difficult, but your second and third, they'll be all right. But as soon as you hit that 4th, it's difficult because that dynamics start coming into the mix and cultures and everything else.
I mean, you would lose that lifestyle element of the business when you employ someone. Yeah. Like,
well, me and my dad had this conversation the other day. He went, Stu, you live in a really nice place. You know, you've got a good life balance. Like I'm very much, I don't work 9 or 5. Like, my alarm goes off 7:45, but I might roll out of bed at 9:30. Do you know what I mean? But equally, I'll be in the workshop by 10 o'clock. I might be in there till 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
You know, but if I've got something to do, like Meg went to do those Valentine's photos yesterday. I went and hand cut and hand dyed a wallet and let that dry. And I stamped a golf scorecard holder and allowed that to dry because it was quite a high detailed stamp, so I wanted to make sure it was in properly. Anyway, that's boring. And then I went and helped her with the photos. So, you know, I was working till quite late last night. Now, to be fair, I started quite early yesterday morning, but it's not always, if I'm tired, I'll go to bed. If I'm tired, I'll stay in bed. If I'm busy, I'll get up. Do you know what I mean? I work to the demand of what the business needs. If I need to work, you know, from first thing on Friday morning until late Friday night, Saturday and Sunday to get something out on Monday morning, that's what I'll do. But if I don't, then I won't, or I'll update the website, or I'll look at some marketing plans, or I'll look at doing new leaflets, or I'll look at, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't really put a price on that either, to be honest.
No.
Because you're living on your own terms.
Yeah,
exactly. As soon as you bring a member of staff in, and
I have to be there at 9.
Yeah.
We need to be there till 5.
They're ringing you, telling you they've got problems.
Exactly.
It's like...
Exactly. And then, you know, you've got that first 6 months where, you know, especially when you're from home, you don't want them to have a key to your house. Yeah. Or my dad had, he works from home, and he had staff come in when he wasn't there, so he ended up having secondary locks in the house so they could access the office and the kitchen, the downstairs loo, but they couldn't access other areas of the house. Mate, your house is like Fort Knox. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, what point does it stop being a house? Like, when I had the first house, when I started cooking leather, I was renting a house in Norton. And we'd have customers come, so we're always trying to make sure everything's clean, and you can't live in it. Do you know what I mean? It's like a showroom.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the business starts growing through the house, and it just stops being a home. Now, where we are at the minute, you come in the kitchen, you go into the workshop. So really, if someone's coming, I'll quickly clean up the kitchen. The workshop's always a mess because I'm a messy worker, and it's a workshop. If it's not messy, you always see these influencers online doing leather work, and you look at the background, the workshop's pristine, and you're going, yeah, all right. One, you're making a bad product, but two, do you actually work in there?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's no dust or anything. You're like, come on, man, that's not real.
Yeah.
Social media at the max. That.
Yeah. Well, mate, I mean, talk about the Teesside business community. You mentioned that earlier.
Well,
has that been a pretty successful?
It has. I'd say most of my work now comes from either overseas or down south. Like, you know, I do very little work within the Teesside community. But I feel as though, and Northerners are always known for being happy, smiley, and, you know, tight is one thing, but I'm on about more the actual, like, personality. You know, we'll say hi to each other and all that. Like, if you asked a business owner for advice and you know them, they're going to give you advice, and they give you honest advice. So when you're starting a business and you don't quite know what you're doing, or you're a bit unsure, and, you know, you've done a bit of network and you know a couple of business owners, I don't know any business owners who wouldn't give advice if asked. Do you?
No, absolutely. It's a hack, isn't it? Like, speaking to other business owners.
No,
definitely.
I don't know other areas of the country and what they're like. But I do know the business owners that I know in this area. If I was unsure on something, I could go, hey, mate, if you come across this, what do you think? And typically, I've not dealt with that, so I don't know. Or you should speak to this person, or, you know, they're always happy to help. And if they know the answer, they'll tell you it. It's the same with me. If one of my mates rings us up and they say, Stu, have you ever come across this? I'll say yes or no. And if I've done it or I know it, I'll give them as much information as I can come up with. If I don't know it, I'll either say sorry, mate, or I'll pass them on to somebody who probably does.
Are you officially a part of any networks or communities?
Not at the minute. No. Not at the minute. I was in BNI for a long time, like literally a long time. So I started BNI when I was 18. I was in that until a year and a half ago.
Okay.
It's like 30, 31. It's like 12 years, but obviously not through Cooper Leather, obviously.
Yeah.
Through different companies I work for. And I definitely think it has a place in the world, depending on you, your business, and where you are.
Yeah.
You know, Cooper Leather, I wouldn't say I outgrew it, but we started pushing further afield outside the Teesside area.
Why?
Naturally.
Yeah.
Wasn't purposeful. Like, obviously, I'm selling a lot more online now. So my customers are all over the country, all in different countries. So the people I'm wanting to work with and stuff necessarily aren't sat in that room, or I'm just really busy. And a lot of people have a bad stigma about it. I think any bad experiences from BNI doesn't necessarily come from BNI, but maybe the people that were sharing the room with that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, bad chapter makes a bad chapter, a good chapter makes a good chapter. BNI is just a platform. I was in a good room, luckily, and again, supportive and all the rest. And I still get business from them. You know, they still get in touch now and then, say, can you do this, can you do that? I've got this person, can you help these? And we do, but you have to kind of give to get. And I was getting really busy. My giving stopped, which means my getting stopped.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just naturally came to an end. It was a time for renewal. I'm not going to at the minute, and we'll see what happens later down the line.
What's the most expensive product you've sold?
£6,000, one duffel bag.
What's the cheapest product you've sold?
Free to a mate.
but, like, what's the you know?
What's the cheapest thing I've sold? A bit of a trick question. All right, at the minute, leather handles to this furniture company £3 a piece or $3.25 a piece or whatever they are, but he's buying 1,000 of them. Do you know? So, but a standalone one-off thing, bookmark, tenner, $8.50, something like that. You know what I mean? Depending on
how long would it take to make?
Which one?
The cheap one, like the bookmark.
The bookmark, 3 minutes.
Really?
Oh, if that. So
just stamp it.
Yeah. So obviously, so I made I've made 6,000 or just over 6,000 products in total, but last year I made I think it was either just over or just under 2,000 products in 12 months. It's a lot of products, right? I do it all on my own by hand. So when you take that into account, you've got to go, how?
Yeah.
You know? So for my best-selling products, I got my design, sent them away and had them turned into big industrial cookie cutters. And I invested in a swing press. So I have a big press that comes with a hydraulic 5-ton press. Put the leather down, put the cookie cutter on top, pull it down, it cuts the part out.
Done. Yeah.
Right? Depending on the next step on what they've bought, so if they've bought a wallet, I'll go and hand dye that product, let it dry overnight and polish it the next morning, which I was doing this morning before I came out to see you. If they bought a pre-dyed product, as soon as I've cut it, that piece is ready. I just need to edge it and assemble it into a product. So if someone's buying a bookmark, chances are it's going to be pre-dyed if it's that cheap. So if it's red, blue, green, whatever it might be, I've got the leather on a shelf, it's pre-dyed, I pull that leather off, I put a cookie cutter for the bookmark on top, stamp, cut it, take the part, put the logo on the bottom, put the edge on, hey presto, you've got a bookmark, you put it in a bag, you send it to the door. Couple of quid.
Yeah.
Right? If it's a wallet, obviously it's a whole different situation. So some stuff can be made a lot faster, some stuff doesn't.
See, that's the sort of stuff I'd be looking to get. This is how my mind works. It's like, okay, you've got them standard products. I'd be looking to employ someone to just do them standard products. I'll just go out there and sell them all day long.
This was the original plan before all these scaremongering things started coming out of all politics. I'm not a politic person. I'm not very good at it. I don't fully understand it. I'm not that interested in politics, to be honest. But you read about it, and you read about how governments are ruining labour and employment and all this, and it scares the crap out of you, let's be honest, right? But the original idea with Coopman Leather was I'd invest in the equipment which made the production easier without lowering the quality. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So cookie cutters, pre-dyed leathers, that sort of stuff. Start investing in all that. So then if I'm going to employ Matty's going to come at the workshop, all you have to do is put leather on a press, cookie cutter, press, jobs are good and you've got the parts. All I've got to teach you to do then is how to edge, how to assemble and how to stitch. Mm-hmm. That's it. And stitching tends to be with a sewing machine. So as soon as you've learned how to use a sewing machine, you're all right. It might take you a couple of weeks to get the proper gist of it. But I'd say within a month, you could probably teach somebody with cookie cutters to make a professional looking wallet, you know, or other products. Other products are easier. Other products are harder. But I could definitely employ somebody easier now to use cookie cutters and all the other parts to produce a wallet of my standard.
Yeah.
Than if I was to teach them how to stencil and cut and put all the arches in, everything by hand.
Yeah.
Now, there are some wallets I might sell 5 or 10 units a year. There are some wallets where I sell 5 or 10 units a month. Mm. So the ones I sell a month, I have in cookie cutters. Yeah. The ones I sell a year, I have in laminated, printed stencils that I've designed on the computer, and I literally just trace them on and cut them. Because, you know, you're either time rich or you're cash rich. So if you're time rich, you spend more time making a product. If you're cash rich, you spend the money on cookie cutters and other things to bring time back, to save yourself some time. Well, that's true, I thought. But
but that was the original idea, you said. That was the original idea to invest in the equipment and stuff. So what's changed?
It's just
your preference of how you want to live, how you want to do business?
A mixture of things. If you ask me this question now and you ask me in a month's time, you'll probably get a different answer because things change all the time. At the minute, it's obviously the whole political stance of the country and how things are changing with rights and all that, and it's just a bit unsure. Previously, it was very much I'm really struggling. I'm going to buy this equipment. I'm not struggling anymore.
Yeah.
I've just got to save myself 20 hours a week. I don't need to employ somebody right now.
Yeah.
And that tends to be the way that my life goes. It's loads of orders, loads of time. Invest in kit, loads of orders, not as much time. More orders, not enough time. Invest in kit, more orders, loads of time. And it has this thing. And every time I restart struggling with time, I invest in the kit to make it a bit easier for myself.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, well, I'll just keep going. And I'll just keep pushing forward and I'll just keep moving. And it's just kind of...
So how long would that $6,000 bag take you to make?
That was over 100 hours. So that bag was completely different. The guy lived in Iowa, I think it was. And he flew up from the US for a meeting in London. I shipped his bag to London for him, and he picked it up in his hotel. It was on his bed and all that, like full 5-star
cool,
service, yeah.
Cool.
But he got in touch with me, and he said, or email it was, but he said, I'm interested in buying a shell cardigan bag. Is that something you can make? Now, I'm assuming you don't know what shell cardigan is, right? It's horse leather.
Right.
But it's not. It is and it's not, right? Well, it is, but it's not leather. It's membrane.
Right.
And it's from the rump of a horse, so it's arse cheek.
Right.
So a sheet of shell cardigan is about this big, and that's well over 200 quid just for that little oval, right? And I'm making a duffel bag. So that's a lot of little ovals, right, at 200 quid a piece.
Yeah.
And he basically said, can you make it? I've got a really nice pair of shoes. I want it to match my shoes, and it's got to fit in the overhead compartments on my first class flights, so it needs to be within the size. And I'm like, oh, I like you.
Stick an extra zero on
Yeah. Well, I don't work that way, but yeah, you sat there going, well, what I ended up doing, now, one mistake on shell cardigan is 200 quid. You can't hit an undo button. You can't stick it back together. It's cut wrong, it's cut wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. So I got in touch with the suppliers and went, look, what have you got? Now, when I priced it up, there was a company in the UK producing shell cardigan. They've gone bust. Right? When I made that bag, for all the research, and I might be wrong, someone in the comments might correct me here, but there is no other UK shell cardigan duffel bags in the world.
Right.
So this guy in America is walking around with the only UK shell cardigan bag ever produced, which I think I don't think I've told him, to be honest. But he literally, so now if I want to make shell cardigan, it's coming from a company in Chicago.
Yeah.
You have to import it all, and it's additional costs and all that. So the shells are even more money now.
Yeah.
But what ended up happening was I took my design, shrank it down, printed it all out, made it all into templates, bought all this shell cardigan leather in. I think I bought 17 shells. And I laid the templates on top of each one. And I went, that's the bigger shell, because obviously it's a natural product. All horses are made different, and some have bigger butts than others. So I put these templates on them all. I went, that's the biggest piece. I can get them out of them. They're the smallest pieces, so I get these parts out of that one. But I was going, well, that doesn't fit, that doesn't fit, that doesn't fit. So I need to redesign the bag. So then I went and redesigned all the big parts to fit into smaller parts, sort of thing. Cut parts off and remade joins and all sorts. And I did all this and it was perfect. And I looked at it all and I went, what if it doesn't work? I've got over 2.5 grand's worth of leather on the floor right now. And if I cut into it and there's one stitch wrong, one stitch hole wrong, the bag will buckle and twist and it's shot and I have to restart the whole process.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You have no idea. So what I ended up doing was making a bag out of normal distressed pull-up leather, just cow, using those templates, and that's what I own now. That's what I use in my weekend bag. So I bought in a normal sheet of leather, full sheet, made a duffel bag out of those templates, found any mistakes. Actually, there was no mistakes. There was just one part where I'd made it in 2 pieces where I could have got away with one. So I made the amendments I need to make, and then I committed it to the shell cardigan bag.
Yeah.
And then it worked perfectly, to be fair. And he signed a sheet of paper in black marker. I digitised his signature, turned it into a stamp, stamped it onto the inside of his bag, so he signed his own bag.
That's quality.
Yeah. We didn't put lining in because on the back of shell cardigan, you've got genuine shell cardigan made in England, like massive stamps that they do on these shell cardigan pieces. Yeah, and I made this custom bag for him. He was buzzing. He got in touch with me a couple of weeks after receiving it and said, could you make a full-size one? I went, yeah, it'll be over 15 grand, and he didn't reply. Purely because of how much extra leather you'd need, and I'd have to use the horses in America are bigger, so you would have needed to use the Halloween shell caravan, it's called, which is out in the US.
I wish you'd brought some products. I'd love to see them in the.
Well, you come to the workshop at some point. We'll do like an extra cut.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Day in the life of
Day in the life of a leathersmith.
Yeah, mate, well, thanks so much for coming on. Where can the guys find you online and your products?
It's happening now already. Sorry.
It's all right.
So my website is couplandleather.co.uk. Coupland is COUPLAND. Couplandleather.co.uk. Yeah, just have a browse, and if anyone wants, I'll give us a shout.
You reach out.
Yeah,
Perfect.
just drop me a message.
Thanks so much for coming on, mate. Top man.
My pleasure.